Is it possible that the thing that most divides our loyalties and passion is what can inspire us all to work together? For centuries, sports has played a major role in defining the civic identity of America. Today, they hold the power and the ability to transform lives.
We're not looking for big league players, we're looking for big league people.
Ask the city of Los Angeles, who invested their profits from the 1984 Olympic Games in youth sports programs in the inner cities. Two sisters from Compton picked up a tennis racket. The rest is history. Sports allow an inspirational moment.
Oh wow, what a moment.
To ignite a battle to find a cure.
We have raised a little over $3 million.
They provide life lessons and hope, and the benefits of working together for the greater good. Most of all, sports are one of the few remaining methods we have to reach at-risk youth for positive social change. That is the power of sports.
Welcome to the Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001. I'm your host, Rick Haro. This month we return to Indianapolis with a packed group of guests focusing on the impact of sports in this emerging city. Big part of our show this month takes place inside the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but not on the bricks, instead on the links. The Indy Women in Tech Championship is taking place at Brickyard Crossing, the golf course partially inside the 2.5-mile track. We'll tell you how a full week of events is about much more than golf. We'll also talk to the Colts and profile an Indy nonprofit founded by a national champion cyclist that uses an innovative program to share his love of bicycling with kids across the city. But first, let's start with our City Pulse, starting right here with the Indy Women in Tech Championship. 2019 marks the third year of the Indy Women in Tech Championship, driven by Group 1001. The best golfers in the world fought it out at Brickyard Crossing with a $2 million purse on the line. Off the course, a full week of events made the most of this community-centered event.
Good morning and welcome to the third annual Indy Women in Tech Summit.
The week began with the IWIT Summit, where leaders from the golf, business, and technology worlds come together to discuss the benefits of inclusivity and diversity in their industries.
It has grown year over year. I think we had around 300 attendees the first year. We were up to 450 last year, now we're at 600. We asked each of the invitees to bring a high performer from their team, because one of the most important things is that this conversation not just happen at the senior level, right? It has to be carried down through the entire organization.
The Eureka Exchange returned for the third straight year, giving thousands of area students the chance to do hands-on STEM-related activities.
Isn't that cool?
The name comes from providing each of them the chance at a Eureka moment of connecting science, math, engineering, and technology to their daily life. Overall, it was an incredible week of golf that once again showcased Indianapolis as a leading tech hub of the Midwest. It also served as another chance to inspire thousands of girls to pursue careers in STEM fields. You know, there's sometimes in the experience of a quasi-journalist that you get to interview one of your really good friends who is the CEO of the Holman Company, which is the parent of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 500, a really good friend, Mark Miles. First of all, this is more than an auto racing track. There's so much tied up in the economic development and therefore philanthropy of this track relative to Indiana and the country.
Yeah, the Speedway matters, you know, to our community in so many ways. And let me just think about that for a second, then maybe go to IndyCar.
Yeah.
For the Speedway, we're part of the identity of the people and the economy of the city and the state of Indiana. Every day somebody will come up and tell you what it means to them, and it's very, very gratifying. But we also have an economic impact that's equal to a Super Bowl. Cities do all they can to get the Super Bowl. We got one every year with this place. And it is, in many respects, a technology hub. In 1909 it was built by entrepreneurs in the emerging automobile industry in this country. and they build it as a test track to develop technology related to cars. You know, just at this one track, there are 44 data cuts under the track. So basically, fiber that goes 44 different places around a 2.5 mile track. So over the course of the Indianapolis 500-mile race, we collect 80 million data records. And that is just one example of the kind of data that goes into the engineering that goes into IndyCar racing. But it also means that we bring to this city a lot of engineers that work for the teams and for our suppliers, and they're high caliber, high paid, white collar jobs that we love to have here. They're part of the fabric of the community now. And it means we can have kids out here every day and get them involved in STEM, and all the teams have STEM programs in IndyCar. We like to hope we can be a kind of platform that reaches a lot of folks.
For the Indianapolis Colts, Colts Community Mondays are a season-long outreach program where players and team staff use the players' only day off to do a wide range of community outreach activities.
It's not part of a contract. It's not mandatory by any means. It quite literally is a sign-up sheet in their locker room. We have a different opportunity every week, and they sign their name. Our players are really engaged when they get out at these events. They like to actually get in and do the work and participate. It's not just a photo op for them. This is the 12th year that we built a playground. We built the playground in a day. We started at 6 a.m. and we were cutting the ribbon by 2:30. So I think we had at least 12 players come throughout the day that were there. A couple of them were having mulch shoveling contests with volunteers. There was probably like 6 of them physically holding up the jungle gym at one point because it was a little off center and we didn't come in just for it to be okay. It needed to be perfect. So our organizational mission is to entertain, inspire, and unite by winning the right way. So obviously the inspiring and the uniting is a big part of what we do.
Major props to Colt players using their sole off day every week to make Indianapolis a better place. When we come back, we'll go in depth on the long-term impact of events like IWIT on a community.
On behalf of Group 1001, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Power of Sports. We are proud to travel across the country each month to tell the stories of how teams, athletes, and organizations are using sports as a catalyst for change in their communities. At Group 1001, our mission is to make insurance more useful and accessible to everyone. Our mission through Power of Sports is to inspire people across the country to see sports as a solution for positive change. To learn more, visit us at group1001.com.
While we were here in Indy, the LPGA unveiled the newest spot in their Drive On branding campaign that featured up-and-coming star Mariah Stackhouse.
This is for every girl who hears people say she won't make it, but refuses to listen. For every girl who thinks not about what she has to lose, but about what she has to gain. This is for every girl who doesn't look like everyone who's come before, but may look like those who will follow. This is for every diamond in the sky. This is for every girl.
Drive On was really the work I was excited to do, a reframing and recharacterization of who we are as an enterprise. So Drive On, obviously rooted in golf, but bigger than golf as well. It really is expected to speak to that passion, that energy, that commitment to excellence in whatever pursuit it may be, whether it's golf, athletics, community, art, service. And guess what, Rick? It's not just for women either. It's for women and men, boys and girls.
This is for every girl who's been told to give up.
This is us crushing it for you, so you can crush it for the next girl.
Women athletes think about the opportunities they've been given because of the women that came before them, and they live with this responsibility of leaving it better for the next generation. So Drive On is the first time we have allowed their voice, the player's voice, to kind of come out to the consumer. Drive On is is sharing their stories, their incredible journeys of making it here, and how important it is for them to leave a legacy for the next girl. As our founders always said, we knew we weren't going to get rich when we started the LPGA, but we thought if we worked at it and we stayed persistent, we might just leave it better for our daughters and our daughters' daughters. We want to make sure that mentality, that philosophy, that responsibility never goes away. So these are the best female golfers on the planet. They're playing for the most money of any female golfer in the world, but they also know that the most important job they have is to make sure young girls can have the dream they had, and more importantly, if they achieve that dream, it's better than they had it.
The goal of the Indy Women in Tech Championship was to make an impact, specifically in regards to engaging young girls and women in STEM. We talked to some of the driving forces behind the event on some of the major impacts they can have on a city like Indy. What is it about the power of sports that allows the platform of empowering women and empowering kids to survive and thrive, and you help put it all together with the Indy Sports Corp? It's a great combination.
It is kind of amazing. We do have the Sports Corp, which has been successful for a long time here. We wanted to do the golf tournament here at the Speedway, which I call the premier engineering facility in the state of Indiana. Anyway, people love this. Iconic, world-renowned. It made sense to have it here. Sports does bring people together, and then you can talk about other things with it.
And I was just hearing from former Mayor Ballard that he can count into the hundreds the number of women who were not in tech, who as adults went through this sort of motivation and helped them find a path and are now fully employed in the tech sector. It's a great example of the way Indianapolis has thought about our sports strategy for a very long time, since the late 70s. That we're not in it so much for what happens on the pitch or the course in this case, or the track. We're in it for what we can do for the community and the legacy effect of events.
It's basically an unprecedented platform for female and technological empowerment. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We have long been a wonderful convener in communities as an LPGA, but over the last year or two, we have found that there's a great complement between our LPGA events and bringing women leaders together. It's unique in Indianapolis that it happens to be technology, but we've got business leaders, we've got community leaders, we've got convenings like this actually happening at over half of our events. So it's a great idea and it's catching fire.
Well, this is a great example of an event that's so much bigger than golf.
Right.
You know, with the whole women in tech, and you see it with young kids experiencing tech right there. You know, yesterday we had women from all walks of business world talking about leadership, empowerment, diversity. So this event's a golf tournament. It's a golf tournament inside a racing venue, but at the same time, it's about making a difference long term, about changing visions and dreams of young girls, about joining STEM and tech opportunities. And so it's great when you meet somebody who's got an idea that's so much bigger than what we put on. And I think the mark this is going to leave in Indianapolis and the young kids of Indianapolis is going to last a lot longer than a golf tournament. When we can play an event that's bigger than the event, it feels like everything our founders were about 70 years ago.
When it comes to a comprehensive group of events designed to impact a community, there is no match for this tournament. When we come back, you'll learn how a bicycle has become the ultimate equalizer in school communities across Indianapolis, thanks to 913 Sports.
Next up, 5 fluent tulip bulbs. Who will start me off at 40 guilders?
60 guilder each.
Right there! I've got it!
Tulip prices on the rise!
I'll bet you my house.
Why is a tulip worth so much? It's a tulip.
Times change, but market frenzies don't. Balance risk with a streamlined high-rate annuity at Gamebridge.life.
Every month on The Power of Sports in the city we visit, we focus on a local nonprofit in that community that's really using the power of sports to make a difference. In Pittsburgh, we profiled how the Harlequins use rugby. In Austin, it was outdoor adventure sports with Explore Austin. And in Detroit, skate parks and boxing. But what about the power of the bicycle? 913 Sports here in Indianapolis has combined one of the oldest forms of exercise with cutting-edge technology, and it's really making a difference for kids here in Indy.
913 started as a crazy idea I had in 2011 with a way to be able to get kids riding bikes as part of their school curriculum. I was an elite level cyclist in a previous life, and I really just wanted to be able to get the next generation passionate about the bicycle and all the power that two wheels bring.
This time playing tricks on us. The way that we're moving, the days feel like hours to me.
Our foundational program is Kids Riding Bikes. It is essentially a big bike video game that we take into schools during the school day. We work with kids as a part of their physical education curriculum. And when we work with, kindergartners, first graders, second graders, they just want to play the big bike video game. They get the joy of the bicycle, that spark that it can light. For the older kids, we're really able to dive more into, the muscle groups we're working with. We're doing a warm-up and then a speed course, as we call it, and then a cool down. So we're taking them through the full arc of a workout. And so they're getting more of that knowledge, and we're diving in a little deeper with some of that stuff.
They can see their stats on the screen, especially the older students. They have the ability to see how fast they've gone, the energy they've put out, their time.
About 10% of the kids we see for the first time have never been on a bike before they come into the gymnasium and get on our stationary bike sims. It allows us to connect with kids that might not be the traditionally active students when it comes to participating in physical education, but to them it's a big video game. And so they're eager to get on the bikes, and oftentimes it's that student that might not excel in traditional sports that is just a rock star. For a lot of kids, the first sense of freedom they have, the first sense of independence,
the aspect of the kids that have never been on a bike before, definitely my favorite. Helping a kid pedal for the first time, spin the pedals around, because it was an experience I guess I took for granted. The bike was my mode of transportation to get around my neighborhood, but a lot of kids don't have that access anymore.
For many of the kids we work with, it's a lifetime of transportation. The bicycle is a legitimate mode of transportation. We've got a whole generation of kids that it's just not really on their radar and they don't really know about it. So kind of shifting that perspective and lighting that spark. So that's what's really cool about the program, is it takes on all these different forms and accomplishes all these different goals, and it's about way more than a bike.
When in 2012 we first launched, we served 1,000 kids our first year. And last year in 2018, we served over 50,000 kids. We see about 150 kids per day, per school site. We can be in 4 schools simultaneously, which means every week we're getting thousands of kids riding bikes, many of which are doing it for the very first time. I'm really proud of the fact we've never charged a public school a penny for programming, and I have no intention of ever doing so. It really becomes this very organic learning tool for all of these different life skills that benefit the next generation.
When you see a kid's face light up because they did it. Every time I work with a kid that isn't sure that they're gonna be able to do it, and then they do. The most gratifying part is just helping a lot of kids that not a lot of people give opportunities to, have the opportunity to achieve something they weren't sure they could.
913 continues to look for other ways to impact students using a bike. They're currently exploring how bicycles could be brought into the actual classroom to teach engaging lessons. When we come back, another story of success from Fields and Futures in Oklahoma City.
It's not the fastest lap. It's the fastest 200 laps. In both racing and investing, bold and steady wins. Balance risk with Gainbridge, presenting sponsor of the Indianapolis 500.
Every month on Power of Sports, we return to Oklahoma City to profile on organizations providing kids a safe place to play, a field to call home, and transforming lives all across the city. Their goal is to rebuild 44 fields in the state's largest school district, turning dilapidated facilities into beautiful complexes. Today we meet confident and fearless softball player Lauren Chamberlain. And while she's won a national championship, beat home run records, and played professional softball, there was once a time when she fell out of place. Lauren is happy to see Oklahoma City softball players have their opportunity to grow as confident young women and be their best self.
It was hard to be a girl. In high school, it was just super thin as in, and I was not. So I remember super struggling with my body confidence and constantly picking myself apart. I saw friends facing bulimia, anorexia. The pressure was on us at such a young age. It shapes you and it molds you. I remember having a group of girls that just wouldn't really let up on me. My strength, I didn't feel like it was celebrated off the field yet. Softball was like my safe haven and my safe space to just dominate. And so almost I treated it like an escape, and a lot of softball players have said that that's their place that they feel safest. I feel like some bad things would happen without the field. Your life is going this way, and it could just jet that way pretty quick if you didn't have a place to play. It's incredible what Fields and Futures is doing just to give these kids a sense of pride in their space. My younger self wouldn't even dream of like the things that have happened. I think about all of the things that softball's done for me, and like I need these kids to have a similar experience.
Look at this field, coach. Come on.
These young students need examples all over the place of people that look like them. For me as a woman, any experience I got, I wanted to just share it.
Time down. Just try it.
Hey, like you're strong, that's so cool. Hey, you can throw that hard, that's so cool. Instead of being shamed for it, it's celebrated.
When you get knocked down and your self-esteem is like this, don't stay in that place.
When life is knocking your confidence down all the time, a field is such a perfect place to have it picked back up. Sport is so rewarding. If that gift can be given to any other kid, what a blessing.
We encourage women everywhere to follow Lauren's lead and find confidence in their strength.
We all want a chance to grow, to use the present to impact the future. Every day, this field is a place to play for thousands of our students. And this place, this field, changes everything. This field is more because the future plays here.
Well, that wraps up our show from Indy. Next month, we'll go to Kansas City and profile some game-changing guests who make a difference in KC. I'm Rick Harrell. We'll see you then on The Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001.